Let's see, what do we got here? Yep. Wait. Ooh. Let's check it out. Hello everybody, welcome. This is the CoolerMaster MM711 gaming mouse, and we're going to take a look at it and find out, if it's worth your money or not. Got this for $25 on Amazon. It's normally $49.99. Here's the back of the box if you want to freeze frame it. Hope you got that. It's pretty quick. But this mouse is pretty light. As this box is, it's 60 grams. It is a gunmetal finish, and it is extremely perforated with RGB, as you can see. And there's your RGB button right there. Changes the wheel button, but also changes the back for some reason. I don't know why it does that. Haven't figured that out yet. I don't think it's supposed to do that because it goes back to the color I picked. Weird. I don't know. We'll look at the software later and I'll probably figure it out and feel like an idiot. But anyway, this has a nice feel to it. I like this. This is like the Subaru hatchback kind of feel of the mouse. I'm sure there's probably a technical term to it, but it doesn't have that extra like Razer Viper, extension on the back. It kind of goes in the palm. You know what I'm talking about? It's like it's lower here and then comes out a little bit more. And then you have a little bit extra back there for your palm to rest on. But what I've found is like when you put your hand on it, it drags a little bit, or it feels like it's dragging. It's probably just me, but I tend to, the way I move it, as you can see, it's like I use my wrist and my fingers. So if I have that extension on the back, it doesn't feel as precise to me. But that's whatever. It's total preference. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with it. Now it does have PFTE feet, and we'll get back to that later. But the buttons are nice and clicky. The wheel is great. I love the wheel. It is almost silent, and until you click it. But it's very smooth with a tactile feel, obviously, and it does have a rubber coating, which feels great. The side buttons are normal. They come out a little bit, so you can feel them. I prefer a little bit larger buttons, but this seems to be, what we're getting now. And then, of course, the DPI button doesn't really make any clicking sound or anything, and it's recessed enough to not get in the way. Now, the sides are kind of slanted. So it's easy to pick up, easy to move around. I like that. I don't really feel a need to put any tape on them because when you pick it up, you don't have to put a lot of pressure on it to move it around because of the weight. But it does feel nice. It's the same finish all the way around. It doesn't have anything special on the sides. And then, of course, you have the feet on the bottom are kind of squared and like the edges are squared. I don't know if you can kind of see that in the video, but like at the top, it just doesn't, it has, I don't know, they're just not rounded off. And it also has like this little shape to it right here that kind of almost butts up next to where the plastic meets plastic, where the moldings kind of stick together. And that lies the problem. Because when you're moving on it, I use a hard mouse pad. When you move it and you put a little bit of pressure on that, you feel it. You actually feel it hitting the mat. So it kind of like pushes down. And this might be mine, might be defective. I don't know. But if you use it very lightly, you don't notice it. But when you get into, a situation, I'm talking about, and you get all sweaty, then you put a little pressure on it and it drags. You can feel it. It's like something under your mouse. It's like a shopping cart. Hitting, a big wad of paper, and it stops the wheel, and it makes a bunch of noise, and it screeches to a halt. So that's what I'm feeling when I do this, and it's very annoying. So like when you first pick it up and start using it, it's like, hey, this is great, and then after a little bit, you're like, you turn it over and go, what's on the bottom of my mouse? What's on my mouse pad? It's scraping. It's actually touching the mouse pad. Now, if you use a cloth mouse pad, probably not going to be an issue. I don't know. But yeah, I think that just because of that, I'm going to look for some different feet. But if I can't find any, even for $25, I don't know if I can recommend this, because if you're using a hard mouse pad, even if you're using a soft, I can't see this really. I can see this being a problem. So I don't know. This is not really going to be my recommendation. But let's take a look at the software, and then you decide. Now, this is the Master Plus software. Now, this software is for anything that you have that's CoolerMaster. Much like Razer and Logitech, they have their own software that manages everything. Now, what this does is manages a lot of the RGB aspects to, say, your case, your mouse pad, your monitor, your headset, your keyboard. Oh, that's just too much. Anyway, so this, you would be able to set up, anything, any kind of LED settings, any kind of RGB that you want on all of that. If you had a whole CoolerMaster desktop like that picture there, it would all sync up and look like a nightclub. Now, this is where your components would be, so you can configure them individually. And then, of course, you can have profiles, and then, power mode. Those are kind of self-explanatory. But if you click on your device, click on your mouse and go in there, the interface is really sharp and really clean. I love it. It's not really anything different than what you normally get with a mouse with RGB. You can change the colors. You can change the LED speed, all that stuff. Performance is a little bit different. You've got 7 DPI settings, which is the button on the mouse. And you can set these, of course, to whatever you want. And since in the midst of making this video, I've gone back to 800 DPI. USB polling, and then angle snapping, which I'm not positive what that is. Lift-off distance. I kept a lot of this default because it just feels good. Angle turnability, that is also at default. OS sensitivity. This is where you can set the sensitivity for the mouse and the OS different from your game, which is really cool. But for me, I don't know about you, but it kind of throws me off when I go back and forth and there's a different sensitivity. It's just weird. OS double click speed, that is at default at 9. You probably should put it at 11, but response time, I left that at default as well, but you can change that. And then you can change, of course, everything back to default if you want to. So a lot of settings to play around with. And I like that. Even if it's stuff that I'm not going to use, there are people that probably tweak their mouse way more than I do. And then, of course, macros. You have different macros you can create with buttons, LED, everything. Profiles, same thing. You've got profiles you can name for different games and scroll through those. And, of course, buttons I say for last because this is just kind of sums up the interface. It looks good. It looks clean. You click on one of these and assign whatever you want. It's great. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try this mouse on some different surfaces, something a little bit different. See if I can get rid of that nagging little bump on the end of this mouse. Okay, now this is I don't know what this is. I got this on Amazon or something. I think it was like $4. Just a regular old mouse pad. It actually is pretty nice. And it's there. I can feel it. Yep, it's there. Okay, next. Now, we're going to use a Razer cloth mouse pad, which is a larger one. It takes up half my desk. But it's a much smoother texture. Okay. Yeah, it's there. Yep. It's just that little bitty piece that just drags on both sides. You can just feel it. Okay. All right. Now we're going to replace this. We're going to try what I use a lot. It's the Logitech. I think it's the 422. I'll have to double check, but it is a hard mouse pad. So it doesn't flex. It's a solid piece of plastic. Okay. And it's there. It's even more pronounced on that, which is ridiculous. That's just, it's like having like a crumb or something under your mouse. Forget it. forget it.